It's Tuesday, June 14th, and this is now on HNN.
Investors are reacting to Monday's huge stock market sell-off. I'm Michael George with how the market did today and how it could impact your pocketbook.
Down big.
We've learned an international flight had to be diverted to Honolulu today due to a disruptive passenger.
What the An already bitter eviction dispute between a Kunia landowner and a Hawaiian sovereignty group is starting to heat up.
Held him to the ground for about 20 minutes.
All these stories plus bringing Venice to Hawaii.
You're never going to do it. You'll never know what you're missing out on.
A tour company offers a very unique experience on the Alawai of all places. Details on how you can take a ride coming up on This Is Now. Good afternoon. Thanks for watching. This Is Now. You got Jonathan and Ashley right here in the H&N Digital Center. Want to get started with more trouble in the skies.
A Tokyo to LAX flight had to be diverted to Daniel K. Inouye International Airport due to a disruptive passenger on board. Dylan Ancheta has more from the H&N Digital Center.
The United Airlines flight was traveling from Tokyo to Los Angeles when it landed in Honolulu this morning. The airline said law enforcement met the aircraft at the gate and passengers deplaned normally. The exact nature of the disruption is not clear, but H&N is told this is not a case of terrorism and it is not related to masking rules. Officials said no injuries were reported. United Airlines said they are offering customers hotels and rebooking options to their final destinations. A new flight is scheduled to depart tomorrow morning. Now, last year, in the bigger picture, was the worst record on year for unruly airplane passenger behavior. There were nearly 6,000 reports of unruly passengers logged by the FAA as of December 31st. Of those, nearly 4,300 or 72% of those incidents were mask-related. Look for more updates on this story on the H&N digital platforms. Dylan Ancheta, Hawaii News Now.
And we've got this breaking news to get to. The U.S. stock indexes had a mixed Tuesday, a day after the S&P 500 slid into a bear market on fears that red-hot inflation will prompt more aggressive rate increases from the Federal Reserve. The S&P 500 fell about 0.4%, the Dow was down about 0.5%, and the tech-focused NASDAQ composite was down about 0.2%. To get the very latest from Wall Street and to find out what the Feds are doing to combat a recession, let's turn things over to Michael George.
Stocks finished mixed, following a Monday freefall that sent the S&P 500 into bear market territory.
It's significant. They don't happen that often, but about a dozen times since World War II.
CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger says soaring inflation and the likelihood of more interest rate hikes continue to rattle investors.
Down big. It's amazing. Where I was 2 years ago, it's incomparable to where I am today.
With the national average for a gallon of gas now topping $5, many Americans are taking a hard look at their retirement portfolios and their budgets.
As a family, we will be focused on our spending and our saving, hunkering down.
Investors and businesses are bracing for Wednesday's decision from the Federal Reserve on interest rates to fight soaring inflation.
The Federal Reserve has to thread this needle. By raising interest rates, what's happening is they could actually tip us into a recession if they go too far, too fast.
Speaking at an organized labor convention, President Biden put the blame on Republicans in Congress.
The problem is, Republicans in Congress are doing everything they can to stop my plans to bring down costs on ordinary families. That's why my plan is not finished.
It's unclear how long the bear market will last, so analysts recommend investors pay down debt and keep their money in the market in anticipation of a rebound. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
A federal lawsuit has been filed against the Navy calling for the defueling of Red Hill. The community group Wai'ola Alliance is behind the action, which also seeks payment from the Navy for past environmental violations stemming from operations at the facility. Activists say they want the Navy to be on the record with plans to shut down Red Hill. The Pentagon has ordered a permanent shutdown of the facility, but concrete plans have not been announced. A recent Navy commissioned study found that over 200 repairs would need to be made to safely defuel the tanks. Members of the sovereignty group, Occupied Forces Hawaii Army, have been served an eviction notice. As Rick Desog reports, a Kunia landowner says he's been trying to get them off his farm for more than 9 months.
Don't touch me, stay away.
Excuse me, you need to stop.
No.
The interaction between the landlord and some members of the people occupying the land has been violent at times. The man in the red sweatshirt with the bolt cutters, who got tackled and held after he apparently brushed against the woman, is former Honolulu City Council member Tom Berg. He works for the landowner and was trying to remove the illegal occupants from his Kunia farmland back in October.
They tried to, quote, citizens arrest him and held him to the ground for about 20 minutes and put him in the ER.
But members of Occupied Forces Hawaii say Berg has been the aggressor. They filed TROs against him, saying he threatened them with a gun. Berg says it was only an air gun. Fearing violence, process servers went out to the property with 2 HPD officers to serve the eviction papers on the group. The group first began occupying a 5-acre parcel here back in September. Since then, their ranks have grown to more than a dozen people, and the landowner says they now occupy more than 30 acres. But 2 of the members of Occupied Forces Hawaii says the land originally belonged to their Hawaiian ancestors. Quote, I am a descendant and one of the many heirs of the supreme title holder.
Attention, attention. You are in a state of war.
Their group doesn't believe in modern land titles because they believe Hawaii is under U.S. occupation.
It's no different than saying, you know, I own my deceased great-grandfather's house back in Montana, which was sold off many years ago to someone else.
The eviction notices were also filed with the state sheriff's office, which is responsible for removing the occupants. Rick Desog, Hawaii News Now.
A Kona judge has ordered a mental evaluation for a man accused of killing 2 people and attacking 2 others. Chido Asuncion smiled during yesterday's court hearing. Police say the 24-year-old is accused in a string of knife attacks on the Big Island. Asuncion told investigators he thought killing homeless people helped get them to, quote, a better place. Asuncion's due back in court later this month. Senator Mazie Hirono wants to electrify the military's fleet of vehicles. She says the Department of Defense is responsible for 56% of the federal government's greenhouse gas emissions. Hirono's proposal would make 75% of the DoD's non-tactical vehicles electric. The military has about 174,000 of those cars, vans, and light-duty trucks in total. She says she also wants the new vehicles to be American-made. Hirono says it will combat climate change and reduce the military's dependence on oil. Treacherous storms in the Midwest, extreme heat in other parts of the country, and that's just some of the severe weather that's taking shape on the mainland right now. Here's Jay Gray with the latest details.
Wind and rain, heat and flames. Mother Nature unleashing severe weather across much of the U.S. right now. The Midwest seeing some of the worst of it.
That was scary.
Strong winds overnight tearing open roofs, pulling down trees and power lines, leaving more than 500,000 without electricity. Gust of 84 miles an hour, forcing a ground stop at O'Hare Airport.
I was waiting for my bags, and then the sirens started going off.
Security moving passengers away from windows for safety.
That is insane.
It's the water causing problems in the upper Midwest. Historic flooding washing away everything in its path. Conditions so bad Yellowstone National Park was closed. While from Texas through California, triple-digit temperatures are making things unbearable.
Right now, if you walk inside my apartment right now, it's so hot in there, it looks like it's water on the floor, but it's actually the humidity.
More than 51 million Americans right now dealing with a dangerous, potentially deadly heat wave. The conditions creating a tinderbox, sparking wildfires, with forecasters warning the worst of the summer heat is still to come. Jay Gray, NBC News.
Bottles of the popular sriracha hot sauce could be hard to find on store shelves this summer. Southern California-based Huifeng Inc. told customers in an email earlier this year that it would suspend sales of its famous spicy sauce over the summer due to a shortage of chili peppers. The company said in its April 19th email that all orders submitted after that date would be fulfilled after Labor Day. The company sources its peppers from various farms in California, New Mexico, and Mexico, and it said that weather conditions are affecting the quality of the peppers and deepening the chili pepper shortage. Now we want to introduce you to Avery Cerna. He studied culinary arts at Kapiolani Community College, and he competed in 7-Eleven Hawaii's annual contest to build a Better For You bento, and that's going to be sold at 7-Eleven locations throughout Hawaii starting today. Thanks for being on This Is Now, Avery.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so tell us about the contest and what was your bento?
So the contest this year, it was a vegan-based bento or entree, and my entry was a fried tofu, a vegan fried tofu with gomoku rice. It's a Japanese-style vegetable rice.
Awesome. And how did you come up with this dish?
I started with the protein, the main part of the dish, so tofu. Basically, at the time, I was in an advanced nutrition class, so we were learning about all of the vegan meat protein substitutes. And of those, I figured tofu would kind of be the best option for a local audience demographic. So that was an easy pick. The rice, everyone eats rice, right? So that was easy. And when I was researching kind of ways to make it healthy and incorporate as much flavors as I could, I felt that the gomoku rice was the best way to go.
Got it. Tell our viewers about like the guidelines of the contest. Like what were the rules that you had to follow?
Yeah, so we had a calorie cap, had to be below, I think it was 900 calories or something. Also, fiber, sugar, salt, sodium levels were some of the guidelines, had to be below a certain mark. And then the actual like ingredients themselves had to have 2 local products. So the local products I picked were Aloha brand tofu and Aloha shoyu.
Nice. And what has the reaction been, to your dish? People like it?
Yeah. I got some good reviews from the judges back in December. My classmates, they did a lot of tasting for me during class. So yeah, they helped me out a lot. They thought it was good too. And of course, like when I was doing taste testing for 7-Eleven, I was able to bring home a bunch, give it to my family. They liked it too. So pretty positive all around.
And I mean, just for you, what's it going to be like for you to walk into a 7-Eleven and see your bento up there?
Yeah, that's going to be crazy because, I'm always going to the hot box for musubis, of course. So seeing something that I thought up, it's going to be weird. I might head down today.
I might head down today too.
Looks good.
Yeah, looks really good. Let's get a check of your weather. Here's Guy Hoggy.
We got more of the best weather on the planet ahead. Not much rain today. However, by tomorrow, according to our computer model, look for a few more of those passing showers, mainly for those windward neighborhoods. And that's going to be the case all the way through Saturday. And then on Sunday, we'll see fewer showers, although there will still be, with the trade winds, some passing showers from time to time. However, rainfall totals will be insignificant. And for the next 7 days, we aren't expecting any severe weather, no hurricanes, no tropical storms, no tropical depressions. So the wind's going to be breezy today. Not a whole lot of rain, fairly dry today. And then tomorrow, the winds back down slightly, just skosh, small kind. And then we'll get an increase in those windward and mauka showers, likely lingering through Saturday. Friday, the winds bump up again. And again, with the breezy winds, that'll push along the rain very quickly, so that limits the rainfall buildups. And then drier conditions, slower winds due by Sunday, and that's when humidity levels likely will be rising.
Now to that big Today Show interview with Amber Heard about her high-profile defamation trial with ex-husband Johnny Depp. It's her first interview since that stunning verdict in favor of Depp. She sat down with Savannah Guthrie.
This was the most humiliating and horrible thing I've ever been through. I have never felt more removed from my own humanity. I felt less than human.
Let's go back to the day of the verdict. Were you feeling confident?
That's a great question. I wish I could say yes to that. I want to say yes to you, but it wouldn't be true. Even if you think that I'm lying, you still couldn't tell me, look me in the eye and tell me that you think on social media there's been a fair representation.
Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes.
After the 6-week trial, the jury found Heard defamed Depp in a 2018 Washington Post op-ed in which she wrote she was a public figure representing domestic abuse. She never mentioned her ex-husband by name. Depp denied the abuse allegations in court. Heard won just one of 3 claims in her countersuit against her ex-husband. That verdict came less than 2 years after a judge ruled against Depp in a similar case in the UK, in which he sued a British newspaper that called him a wife-beater.
There was another trial, dealt with the same substantive issues that had even more evidence in. In fact, my evidence was largely kept out, really important pieces of evidence kept out. Done differently, handled differently by a judge instead of a jury.
Some evidence is admissible in a UK court that is not admissible in a US court. Do you think that maybe he just had better lawyers?
I will say his lawyers did certainly a better job of distracting the jury from the real issues.
For some people, they just were frankly disgusted by the whole thing and don't have much sympathy for either one of you. Can you understand that?
Absolutely. I would not blame the average person for looking at this and how it's been covered and not think that it is Hollywood brats at their worst.
All right, we're going to break away from that for just a moment and get to some breaking news just into the H&N newsroom. The headline that we just pushed out on our H&N digital platforms reads, despite promises of transparency, a secret ceremony held to swear in the new HPD chief. Bringing in Chief Investigative Reporter Lynn Kawano. What is going on here, Lynn?
We have been asking for days now, really weeks. When are we going to be able to get information on the swearing-in ceremony for Arthur Joe Logan, who was selected to be the next chief of Honolulu Police Department? And we have been constantly told they keep waiting for the paperwork, waiting for him to pass certain tests, physical tests, medical tests. And this morning, we found out through multiple sources that a private secret ceremony was held about 11 o'clock at HPD to swear in Joe Logan as the next chief. Very surprising, given that we were talking about all this transparency and the need for openness. And why would they have this secret ceremony? When I asked HPD, I just got a response from the Public Information Office that says they wanted to get him started right away. There is a graduation ceremony tonight at 6 o'clock. They wanted to get him sworn in right away. What I don't understand is why they couldn't have called us over. Right. Why they couldn't have said, hey, you guys have been asking for weeks now. This is a new leaf for the HPD. Why not call the media in and tell them, look, we're going to do this as soon as possible so that he can be at the graduation ceremony tonight at 6 o'clock. Can anybody be there? If not, we will provide video and pictures, and we could have a much bigger, more public ceremony later this month. Nope, it was done in secret. In fact, I've been getting multiple texts from police officers who say, how did we not know we were getting a new chief today? It just speaks to the idea that we're supposed to be turning a new leaf here, that we're supposed to be having a more transparent department, and then this happens. It certainly doesn't feel like a change is on the way.
Yeah, I think that was surprising that the command didn't know either, right?
Upper levels of the command, we're told, were not informed. Now, the very top, because along with Chief Logan now, Keith Horikawa, who is one of his deputies, and then he picked Ratty Vanek to be his other deputy. So those 3 were sworn in this ceremony, this private ceremony today. But a lot of people who are rank, in that department, who are considered brass, did not know about it until basically we told them with either the push alert or with text messages. And they are equally as surprised as we are about this.
And this coming just weeks after the other news involving transparency involving the chief's son. Remind our viewers what happened there.
It definitely didn't start out on the right foot for Joe Logan. Now, I don't blame him for this one. His son, who is an adult, he's a 36-year-old grown man, Zane Logan, was arrested for assault for an incident that happened at Alawano Beach Park. Zane Logan has dozens of prior traffic citations, arrests. He's actually got a pending felony case right now for theft. And then this happened, this terroristic threatening assault case came up, and that happened within a week of him being named chief. I don't think that he had anything to do with this, but Chief Vanek, then interim Chief Vanek, tried to play it off, saying, you know, we treated him like we treat everybody else. There was some flack for that because Arthur Joe Logan's son dropped his dad's name, saying my dad was just named chief to the officers who were arresting him at the beach park on May 24th. And that prompted HPD to call Joe Logan ahead of the arrest to notify him that his son is being arrested. I don't think that that happens to anybody else. I don't think you can say that wasn't special treatment. So I don't think that Joe Logan had anything to do with that. But certainly he came out in a press conference right away and said he was trying to be transparent. This ceremony today, though, makes us wonder, right? The transparency level that we're going to have from HPD. It's very concerning.
Well, Lynn, I know you're going to be working with our digital team to write up even more information about this still breaking story, and we'll have more on it on later editions of H&N. We've got to switch gears quite a bit right now to another story that's trending on our online digital platforms. There's a new way to take a very interesting ride on the Alawai.
When you think of a scenic or romantic tour in Waikiki, your mind might not immediately go to the Alawai Canal, and the operators of Hawaii Wow Tours certainly understand that, but they want an opportunity to change your perspective and give you a view of this beautiful place like you've never seen it before. Sure, it would be easy to dismiss this new venture. Look at this infamous, often mistreated body of water and say, no way. But the Kalmanson family, who started this all, says it'd be your loss. And what do you say to people that say, no, I'd never do that in a million years?
Well, I mean, you know, if you're never going to do it, you'll never know what you're missing out on. And it's an intimate experience, up to 4 people per gondola cruise. It's really for all ages and all lifestyles. So it doesn't have to be just a romantic experience. It could be family, it could be friends that are just hanging out, want a chill experience on non-choppy waters.
Hawaii Wow Tours has been launching from the Alawai Boat Harbor since early this year. They have 3 gondolas, a number of packages for families, small groups, and couples, touting a romantic gondola ride with, if you're lucky and depending on the day, a fireworks show finale. You might think that this is the first tour to operate in the canal and to use that space for something like this, but I want to show you some really cool pictures actually. Guy Hagi turned me onto this. Take a look at this. This is going to be a picture of the umbrella boats that they had, and this is courtesy Star Advertiser, their archives from 1975, believe it or not. Now, Chantel, we're going to be looking at a picture of gondolas that may have been operating back in 1926.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if they were actually operating, but it was always envisioned to have gondolas along here. Basically, the Alawai Canal was considered to be the Venice of the Pacific.
Venice of the Pacific.
Yeah, so we kind of, after canvassing with a lot of locals and all that, we had the idea to bring this idea to fruition.
This family's put a lot of work into getting this project off the ground, or I should say in the water. They're hoping it pays off. So far, the reviews are good.
Oh, they have been enjoying it tremendously. We had a couple that actually did a proposal, so that was pretty amazing. And she said yes, by the way. So
oh, very good, very good.
A successful proposal. We've had some families come aboard, and they all loved it also tremendously.
You can learn more about the Waikiki Gondola Tours online at hawaiinewsnow.com. For now, I'm Casey Lund reporting on the Alawai Canal for Hawaii News Now.
Again, you can find out much more about that on your H&N digital platforms. Get all the news you need coming up first at 4 on KHNL with Ashley. Have a good one.